in Havana, Cuba. We've been bouncing around tonight. Basketball, some diving, gymnastics. We are going back to diving. We'll see if the Tasmanian Devil can hold that lead. That'll be in just a few minutes. Right now, it is time for more gymnastics. The women of the U.S. are trying to nail down the team gold tonight. Let's go back to Santiago de Cuba to Gary Bender.
After one run. Last night, Felix Aguilera of Cuba thrilled a standing room only crowd in Santiago de Cuba with a 10 in the parallel bars. It was a night to be remembered as the Cuban crowd shared in the success as well as in the anguish of the Cuban team. Damian Mourinho overflew the high bar. The Cuban legend, Casimiro Suarez, crashed on top of the bar. Then the most dramatic moment of the night by Jose Tejada. This fall, as he told us, didn't hurt his body, but it broke his heart. His face said it all. When it was all over, the Cuban men set a new Pan Am team record in winning the gold. And that brings us to tonight, the final night of the women's team competition. The results after the compulsories find the United States on top by 2.725 over Cuba. Brazil is in the third position. Remember now, the compulsories count 50% toward the team total. Canada is in fourth, Argentina and Mexico to follow. Hi, everybody. I'm Gary Bender, along with Kathy Johnson and Bart Connor. Kathy, the American women tonight seeking their 10th gold in 11 Pan Am games.
The Americans have a substantial lead after compulsories. I'm not going to say that nobody can catch them, because in a sport like gymnastics, anything can happen, but it's highly unlikely. They would have to completely miss two events, and the Cubans would have to be outstanding. Stephanie Woods was superb in the compulsories, posting the highest score of the day, 9.875 on the beam. 1988 Olympian Shelley Sack was solid throughout, and Ann Weiner-Alston, the junior national champion, she had a fall on the balance beam, but I have a feeling she's going to come back and be very exciting to watch tonight.
Well, you can hear the crowd in the background. Bart, my question is it going to be like last night?
Well, last night was certainly one of the wildest gym meets I've ever seen, and it looks like it's going to be that way tonight as well. It's interesting, we talked to the U.S. coach Tony Gaiman. We said, what are you saying to the U.S. girls about how to deal with this crowd? And he said, although the crowd will be cheering primarily for the Cubans, for the U.S. girls to draw on the energy in the building and hopefully use it to motivate themselves. We'll see if they can do it.
Let's go to the action now. Brazil, United States, Canada, and Cuba. They are on the floor, and that's part of the standing room only, should say sitting room only crowd. They are packed in here, an enthusiastic group. They'll have 4 rotations here in the optionals. A battle for the team gold. And the United States, as we mentioned right now, with a decided advantage. This young Cuban women's team, though, the charisma they have, they're really fun to watch. Benitez is now chalking up as she's getting ready for the high bar routine. Georgina Benitez out of Havana. She hopes to be in the Olympics in 1996 when they go to Atlanta.
Georgina had a little bit of trouble on the compulsory routine on the uneven bars. And she's one of the weaker gymnasts on this event in terms of physical strength. She opens nicely with her first release move, a reverse hex. Giant swing with a full pirouette right into it. Top double back flyaway. Oh, a big step on the landing. But much better than her compulsory routine the other day. And this is really nice to see the Cubans coming back strongly on the uneven bars. This is where they really had trouble in the compulsory. 3 major mistakes from that team on this event.
In fact, Benitez was 9.15. 9.15 in the compulsory.
She made a good transition down to the low bar, worked back up to the high bar. Her giant swings are very powerful. You'll notice in her double back dismount, her legs are apart a little bit, and she takes a little bit of a step on the landing, just a couple of tenths of point, but she was excited about getting through that exercise.
I really love watching them compete. They look like they have so much fun, and they're the same in practice.
United States is on the vault on the far side of the floor, and Juliet Bangerter with a 9.375. Hillary Anderson, a 9.325. We're going to come back. We'll be bringing you this action in rotation number 1. 4 rotations here in the women's optionals for the team gold. Let's go now to the parallel bars and Felix Aguilera of Cuba.
We saw a couple of days ago Aguilera got a 9.9 in his compulsory exercise. This routine is absolutely brilliant. He shows terrific underbar work. And notice the nice clean body line. Watch the sequence coming up here.
Just gorgeous, Bart.
Very intricate elements and a perfect dismount.
And with that performance, the second 10 that we've had. Eric Lopez had a 10 in the compulsories and the vault, and now a 10 for Aguilera here in the parallel bars.
A well-deserved 10, too. The exercise was so clean. He reminds me of Vladimir Artyomov from the Soviet Union. Great body line. He never hurries. Everything is topped off in the handstand.
And I've watched this combination done all week just like this. The Diamondov and a quarter, right to the Healy turn and a backstroke. Gorgeous.
And the dismount, just the way you want to see it, drops out of the sky.
Perfection on the parallel bars. Our Pan Am Flashback brought to you by Kodak.
4th. Let's go back to the first rotation now on tape and watch Stephanie Woods in the vault.
This was Stephanie's second vault. So Yurchenko laid out with a full twist. Watch the beautiful form. Straight body line. Good height off the horse. And a good landing. Now in women's gymnastics, you can do 2 vaults and the best of the 2 count. She scored a 9.8.
9.8. That was the best score in the first rotation. As far as Cuba's concerned, Leonette Gonzalez had a 9.6 on the high bars. This is Hillary Anderson getting ready to go live now on the high bar.
It's amazing Hillary's here competing at all. Her father passed away a couple of months ago, less than a couple of months ago, and she has dug in and really focused her attention back on her gymnastics and has been doing a great job for the U.S. team.
The Americans had some trouble on the uneven bars in the workout sessions. Getting used to these bars, they're a little bit different. They're very bouncy. And the timing is just a little bit off. So the first couple of routines up, especially Stephanie Woods, who went up first, scored a 9.1. Had a break in the routine, but managed to cover pretty well.
Boy, the judging has been taking forever at this competition. Don't you hate standing up there and waiting to go?
I think this is the worst I've ever seen it, Bart. I've been stuck in this situation, waiting for the judges, but every single routine. Hillary has nice form. You can see good toe point, legs straight. Here's her first big skill, full pirouette, right into a reverse hex. Good strong swing into a double twisted flyaway. Nice routine, not stocked full of difficulty, but she had the nice release move in the beginning and a pretty double twist at the end.
Hillary in her first international competition as a member of a U.S. team, 17 years old.
All the gymnasts have had trouble adjusting to the bars because they're very springy. The U.S. team was all over the place the first couple of days in practice, but Hillary really dug in. This full turn over the top, right to this move called the Tkachev, a reverse hex back over the bars, done perfectly.
Competing so well in this competition. I love the dismount. Just clean form. Watch it. 2 twists and a good landing.
And Wojnarowski now national champion for the United States at 14 years of age.
This is a very exciting routine to watch. She has a skill early on in the routine. It's a reverse hex, but she goes in the other direction. A little more unusual.
14 years old. This is such a young team for the United States. She's a little nervous about this competition. She said that before we began.
I'd say so. She is nervous, but she's also very focused on this. She is a tough competitor, and she really wants to do well here.
Hillary Anderson with a 9.675.
Americans are really coming back now on the bars. And here comes that combination. Just a giant full pirouette to a half pirouette. Here it comes, right here. Reverse hex the other way. That's pretty. A back-up rise. And a pike double back dismount. Excellent routine. It's nice to see, Bart, because in the 30-second warm-up just prior to competition, like you said, they were all over the place. Makes you a little nervous. I'm sure it made them nervous.
This move that she does early on in her routine is unique in that, first of all, she's terrifically talented, but it's also possible only because she's 4 feet 8 inches tall. She does a giant swing with a full turn here. The second one is with a half turn, and she comes back against the low bar, and here's where she does this reverse hex. Well done.
We've said this before in our programs that now the uneven bars go so far out that only being 4 feet 8 inches tall allows her to swing through almost like she's on the men's high bar without hitting the low bar. Here's the dismount. Nice piked position in the air and just rocks the landing.
So the U.S. women here on the uneven bars have scored 2.9675. That's the best. Gonzalez for Cuba at a 9.72 in the beam.
Oh, my dog, Shady.
And women's gymnastics.
After 2 rotations in the final night of the women's team competition, the United States has moved ahead. They went from 2.21 to 3.8 over Cuba. Canada and Brazil battling for the bronze as Juliet Bangerter now on the beam for the United States.
Juliet really has a very unique balance beam routine. There's a lot of difficult tumbling and difficult dance elements as well.
You hear the crowd going crazy. They're booing and whistling against the score of the Cuban girl on the floor exercise that is happening.
Oh, no. This is the United States' third fall on the balance beam. Hillary Anderson was first up, had a fall. Ann Wojnarowski had a fall.
So that lead that they had extended all of a sudden may be diminishing. Hernandez, by the way, the whistling a while ago, she got a 9.35 on the floor.
2 back handsprings into a layout step out. Very nicely done. Extremely hard to concentrate in this arena.
The crowd.
Oh, no.
Oh, my God.
Juliet, in practice, was doing this routine with such ease, had no trouble at all.
The crowd really a factor here. Not normally a factor in a gymnastic competition, but here in Cuba, definitely a problem for the U.S. girls.
I'm not sure they understand the sport when they know when to cheer and when to do what they're doing.
Well, it's not typical that an audience will cheer when someone falls, and they, in fact, are cheering when the United States falls. Comes the dismount, down up double twist. And also, you can see these men, they're terrible to land in. They buckle.
Well, it's not going well on the beam right now for the United States.
Here was the trouble that she had. Running front somersault. Right into a split jump. Actually, that was not her broken pass. Right here, the full turn in the air, which is a very difficult dance pass, but she normally has no trouble with it. And a double turn, another difficult dance element. What a shame. That's a full point off on the 2 falls alone.
So Hillary Anderson a 9.05, Wojnarowski 8.975, so they'll want to throw that one out. So they are really struggling, and there's been a lot of counseling going on, Patty, or I should say, Kathy, after every one of the beam routines.
One point I want to make here. Juliet Bangerter over on the uneven bars came up with a really clutch performance when the Americans needed it over there. They started out pretty slow, and she picked it up for them. So it's unfortunate to see her have mistakes here.
One of the delightful people we followed in the competitions getting ready now for the floor exercise, Leonette Gonzalez, 12 years old. By the way, Bangerter's score now has been posted at 8.55. You talk about a disaster in a particular apparatus. That may be unprecedented, huh? Gonzalez at 12 years, 4'9", 77 pounds. Young rising star for the Cubans. She began gymnastics at the age of 5. She did compete in the United States in 1990 in Salt Lake in the Olympic Cup, finished 6th all around.
It's really unfortunate. She has had some trouble with a groin muscle that actually hampers her quadricep as well. And we can tell she's been in pain. I think it happened 4 days ago. But she really is fun to watch in competition.
They were waiting on a score from Nunez. He has a 9.5, so the Cuban woman gets that score with Gonzalez ready to go now.
Also, what was so impressive about Leonette, she's 12 years old, but when we had a chance to talk to her, she was so bright, and the answers that she came up with were so wonderful to hear, talking about what she has learned from her coach in the sport.
Leonette Gonzalez, we talked to her before the competition. We asked her, is it difficult to be a dedicated gymnast in this country?
In this country, gymnasts start at a young age, at about 5 or 6. They begin practicing the sport, and depending on their results, they'll become gymnasts. We undergo tests at the national level. The best are chosen, and they advance in their class.
What an unfortunate miss early in the routine, her opening tumbling pass. Of course, it's 0.5 of a point off for the fall, and then a 10th going out of bounds. Nice middle. Oh, no! A difficult middle tumbling run. Oh, another fall. It's tough for anybody, but for a 12-year-old.
Kathy, she's crying.
As I had said, she has trouble with the groin muscle. It's been hurting her for the last 4 days. And I'm sure those falls didn't help.
She's profusely limping now, even worse than we saw on the beam a while ago.
Well,
what a tough moment.
I have had this injury, and it hurts her when she runs. So to try and generate enough speed in the tumbling pass with the run is very difficult. Oh, you can tell. She has trouble pulling her legs up. She wasn't even in a tight tuck.
By the way, some good news for the Americans on the beam. Kristen McDermott, 9.65, so maybe that's a breakthrough.
Again, the same thing. I watched her in workout. She was a much stronger tumbler. She's unable to run hard. She can't push off.
She is in real pain. And it's too bad we couldn't see her at her best because she's something special. Leonette Gonzalez, 12 years old, from Cuba.
Emotion and a packed house at the Pan Am Games tonight. Coming up.
And Bart Connor.
And welcome back to the Alejandro Urgeas Hall in Santiago de Cuba. We're ready now for the fourth and final rotation in the finals of the women's team competition. And after 3 rotations, the United States well on their way to the gold now. Over 4-point lead. Cuba in second. Canada now in the 3rd position, hanging on for the bronze, and Brazil in the 4th spot. Hillary Anderson now ready to go for the United States on the floor exercise.
But that last rotation was a wild one, Bart. I've never seen more falls from the 2 top teams, the Cubans and the Americans.
The Americans had plenty of trouble on the balance beam, and yet they still gained ground over the Cubans that struggled on floor exercise.
Pike double back, landed a little bit low, managed to save it. What's most impressive about Hillary Anderson is moves just like that, a triple turn. Look at her toe point.
Hillary is coached by Maureen Chagnon and Kip Reed at West Branch, Connecticut. They've done a great job with her. This is their first international competition.
The championships of the USA, qualifying for the national team, and of course these Pan American Games. And what a first international experience. This place is wild, very loud, hard to concentrate. Here's her final tumbling run. Double twist. Tumbling's not as strong as some of the top athletes in this competition, but the dance was just lovely.
She had a 9.35 in the compulsories, so we'll wait her score in the floor exercise. Indira Hernandez of Cuba in the vault. This is her 2nd vault.
This is her 2nd vault. Yurchenko chopped with a full twist. Now that vault is worth a 9.9 in the code of points.
She's only 14 years old. The Cuban team has 4 14-year-olds and 1 12-year-old.
This vault really was not that well done. As you can see, as she hit the horse, her arms were bent. She kind of crunched in and didn't get real good height or distance on the afterflight.
She's from Havana, 14 years old. So rotation 4 will continue. We'll come back and we'll have the battle for the gold.
Table, and her mother said, oh my God, we better sign her up for a class where they have mats.
Americans so far scored a 9.325. That's Hillary Anderson. Juliet Bangerter scored a 9.25. Stephanie Woods a 9.35. And Shelley Stack a 9.625. Loves to show off. She's a very strong tumbler. Whip back all the way through to full in. She was real close to that line. I'm not sure if that wheel went all the way over or not. Another whip back. Through to a tuck double back this time.
Stack had a 9.625 on the floor.
Oh, fell out of a double turn.
His coach is Tony Gaiman, who is the head coach for the women's team here at the Pan Am Games.
Final tumbling run. The double back. With a good landing. Nice exercise.
Well, what's significant for Marian Ann in that is that she has a chance to get the 3rd spot on the all-around. She is battling Kristen McDermott for that position, waiting, of course, on the final result here from the floor exercise. 3 competitors from each country will move into the all-around, 14 total.
coach, Tony Gaiman, said the reason she's so good is because she knows she's good, and she is really a powerful tumbler. Kathy, you're right. Looked like her heel hit the line, but didn't go completely over, and that saved her a 1/10 of a point had she gone out of bounds.
Nunez of Cuba is getting ready to go on the vault. Here she is, 14 years old, moments ago. This is her second vault.
This is your Chenko vault, the round-off entry vault. Onto the board, laid out somersault with a full twist, just a slight hop on the landing.
And that was a 9.55.
Very nicely done. All she had to do is pipe down a little bit, and that'll be a slight deduction.
You can hear the chant in the background. And still waiting on her score in the floor exercise. Kristen McDermott is ready to go next. Wojnarowski now with a 9.65 is the score that she has been given. Kristen ready to go, the final performer on the floor exercise for the United States.
Kristen is a spunky little thing. She's a lot of fun to watch. There's a lot of energy there.
How about that music?
This really is typical parquet style. There's the big parquets, of course, in Allentown, Pennsylvania.
4 feet 8 and 86 pounds. Boy, can she fly.
Kristen needs a 9.725 to tie her for second in the all-around.
Getting up for her final tumbling run.
She is fun to watch.
Well, if she gets a 9.275, she'll automatically be a member of that all-around team. That would put her in third. She'd have to do awfully well to move into second.
Her coach, Robin Netwall, was talking to us before the competition and said that Kristen is so outgoing. She's not like a lot of the young ladies that she's used to working with. And you can see it in her style on the floor. She really does sell her routine.
Well, she's the #2 gymnast on the junior national team. And very new to international competition. She's doing a great job.
So the United States has captured the gold. Cuba will finish with the silver. Canada with the bronze. And still up for grabs, of course, the all-around. Who will compete for the United States? We know for sure that Stephanie Woods is already in, and we're waiting now to see who will be the other two members of that team. Here is Leonette Gonzalez. We thought maybe she wasn't going to continue, Kathy. I'm kind of surprised.
I have a feeling I know what she's going to do. She's going to run down and maybe just touch the horse, because the rules state if she plans to continue in the competition, meaning compete in the individual event finals, you cannot scratch an event.
Oh.
You have to make an appearance. So that's my feeling. I'm just guessing, but it sure looks that way.
Didn't look like she could even run. Look at her. She's just dragging that leg.
I'm also surprised at one other thing, and they've changed their lineup, and you're really not allowed to do that in international competition. I know why they did it, obviously. So hopefully they got approval.
We've seen a lot of things here that we've never seen before.
I've never been surprised. It has been confusing at times.
Oh, listen to the crowd. They're cheering her on.
Well, does she actually have to go over the vault itself, the horse?
No.
Or?
All she has to do is touch the board and the horse. In fact, the most famous incident was when Nadia Comaneci did it in 1979 in the World Championship. She had an infection in her hand and could not compete in the all-around, obviously, but she had made balance beam final. Well, she had to compete for the team to try and help them win. So in order to continue and compete on the balance beam for them, she had to make an appearance. Yep, that's what she's doing.
Can you imagine this crowd? They have no idea what happened there.
Well, that concludes rotation 4 here in the women's team's finals. The United States has won the gold for the 10th time in 11 Pan Am Games. Cuba with the silver, and Canada is able to capture the bronze. Has won the gold in the women's team competition. A score of 380.775, 4 points more than the silver medal winners Cuba, and in third place was Canada, who captured the bronze. A very unusual night.
I have never seen a competition with as many highs and lows in one meet in my life. I think the lows came from, we saw youth and inexperience out there, but most importantly, a lot of talent out there that I think we're going to see a lot more from at the World Championships, the Olympic Games in the next 4 or 5 years.
Well, Martin, your thoughts about it?
Well, the U.S. team, I thought, really showed some gritty performances on both the floor exercise, their last rotation, and the uneven bars, where the middle of the lineup really pulled in and did some great routines. The Cubans were starting to gain on the Americans at that point, and the American girls really put together strong performances.
Well, they had the 3 top qualifiers for the all-around, which will begin on Friday. Stephanie Woods had the highest score of the night at 9.8 in the vault. There's Shelley Stack, Kristen McDermott, Jimenez from Cuba, Hernandez from Cuba, Mylène Fleury from Canada, and Luisa Parente from Brazil, and Benitez from Cuba. So those are the top qualifiers for the women's all-around. So the United States has won the gold. They have the top 3 qualifiers for the all-around. As we mentioned, Stephanie Woods had an outstanding vault, and the injury to Leonette Gonzalez was really very difficult.